cemetery in my hometown. And so the mother was pregnant and she was born. She'd never met her father, and that she looked for 65 years. I think actually, I learned later on, she looked for a little bit longer than that, but she never had the nerve to come out and look at that cemetery and at that tombstone. And she said to my father, "Do you know how my father died?" And my father said, "As a matter of fact, I do." And I myself, I'm standing there and I'm saying, "Oh, this is a story I've never heard." And he said, "I actually saw your father coming down in flames in the farm next to my own farm. It hit a haystack, and all four that are here, all four British soldiers burned to death." She was kind of staring at him. And, you know, we just stood there and were quiet for a moment. And then she said, "Is there any documentation on this?" And my father said, "Well, you know, I know a lot of people in the town." He said, "Actually what we did was, which is what kids do. They have a bicycle, they saw the plane coming over his farm, and there were a couple of other kids playing around in the yard. They hopped on their bicycles, and that's how he had actually seen, and they bicycled to the next farm to see what the accident is." Kids are curious. It's, when I was a kid myself, when the fire brigade went through my street, you know, we'd all jump on our bicycles and see where they were going. So that's what they did back in 1944 when this happened. So my father talked to the mayor, he talked to the priests, and my father and myself, plus my personal assistant, we put together a booklet that was about 100 pages with news reports, the speech of the pastor, letters that we found, etc. And a year later, my father and myself, we went to visit Anne and Nick in Bath. I'm talking about small children. I took my 14-year-old son with me to make sure that he understood what was going on and how important it is to look back at history. So if you're wondering why I'm so interested in what's happened also to Bahamian soldiers, is because I look at this country as a place where I'm now, and I'll tell you in a minute how exactly I came to this Bahamian situation. There's other things too in my personal history, in my genes. My neighbor walked in one day when I was probably 15. He sat there, you know, he liked to talk. And he said, the Germans came up. And he said, "I have never talked to a German since 1945. And, you know, I'm sitting there and I'm saying, "Oh, I will never forgive them for killing my brother in my parents' living room." Across the street from where I grew up was a house. And one day, somebody said to me, "Do you know what happened in that house in 1944 in September?" I said, "No, it's